Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to Inside the OC, the podcast dedicated entirely to the USBC Open Championships. My name is Matt Cannizzaro, live here from Fort Worth, Texas, and another exciting edition of this fun. It's turned into a lot of fun podcast. Let me bring in my co-host for today's show from Kentucky, Daniel Farish.
Hey,
Sir, welcome back.
Hey, thanks, man. How you doing today?
All right. I'm really starting to enjoy talking to some of these guys, reminiscing a little bit, even learning a little bit about where we can do better in our reporting and such, and of our cool things, the evolution of the event. This particular year, 2009, we're going to talk quite a bit about today, was where we started doing video at the Open Championships and right before the onset of social media. So a lot has changed over the last couple of decades and how we cover the event. And this was a special one. So without further ado, looking forward to hearing some great stories from this gentleman. He's one of those guys who he just kind of was there doing his thing, enjoying the event. And then all of a sudden, there he was. And here he is now from the Milwaukee area in Wisconsin. Ron Vokes, welcome.
Hey, guys. Hey, Matt. Hey, Daniel.
All right. Well,
how's everything going?
All is well. And we look forward to hearing some of your great stories. You Scotties know how to party up there. And from my days living in Milwaukee as well, I got to know a lot of people and looking forward to hearing all the details and how things are up in your neck of the woods. For those of you watching at home who may not be familiar with Mr. Vokes, he's a 2009 regular all events champion, the first bowler in Open Championships history to break the 2,300 mark. 2321 was the number. It was a short-lived record, but an Eagle winner nonetheless. We'll talk about that day and the rest of his career here in just a moment. Ron, let's catch up with how things are going right now in this crazy time. You said you're out there being busy, working in the trucking business, so you're out there driving the roads and doing the things as an essential person in the real world. Tell us what's going on with you.
Well, right now, business is always a little crazy right now, even in the trucking business. Business has picked up a little bit more for us right now, delivering a lot of the masks and shields and stuff, medical supplies to a lot of hospital clinics and everywhere around. We do a lot of, my company's called Tax Air Freight. We do a lot of trucking for the air freight and ocean freight forwarders. And then, of course, that business has been struggling a little bit now, a little slow. But our direct trucking side, Tax Air, is doing very well. Staying busy enough to keep everybody working. And it's a different world we live in now. New rules.
All right. We appreciate all that you are doing to keep everybody safe and supplied at this time. And we know the middle of the bowling season suddenly came to a halt. And you guys, again, those league nights are a whole lot of fun. But what has the bowling world been like for you? Have you been coping with being off the lanes or staying sharp or all the things?
It's a little different. I mean, the lanes I bought is actually called the lanes on Highway 20 here in Racine, Wisconsin. And they actually came up with a pretty neat thing for our league on Mondays. We have a 3-person league, 12 weeks only. After 12 weeks, they pay you off and get everything done. You're off for Christmas. You're off for New Year's. You come back January, like second week of January, and bowl another 12 weeks. And we almost finished it. We were 2 weeks from finishing the second one, and this happened. But been bowling well. Getting old, when you hit 60, you start more aches and pains coming in, but still throwing the ball good, averaging around 220 something in about 3 different houses. So bowling, I said, I feel sorry for the bowling proprietors right now because I'm good friends with Gary Darashevsky, Eddie Verratti, and bowling a couple of centers up in Milwaukee. And I said, it's sad to see that, with nobody going in. And I said, I can't wait till we can get back to it because I think you're going to see a lot of enthusiastic patrons come back into bowling now where they were a little bored of it and got a little boring. Well, now that they're finally missing it, it's not so boring anymore.
Now, that brings up a good question. Having grown up in the South, for me and Daniel as well, bowling centers didn't close. They were open year round. It was where you went to escape the heat. But I remember the first time I was back in Milwaukee and realized that the center was closed, or at least closed until the nighttime. So the bowling world a little bit different up there when the golf season and fishing season comes around. Do you think that's going to be any different when this is all over this summer?
It seems it'll be nice to see what happens. I'm hoping bowling comes back as strong as it was before. And I said, I know the social distancing thing might be a little different with 5-person teams, when you have it that way. But like with the 3-person teams or 4, I can't see that being much of a problem if as long as you start and you kind of do your thing. Of course, high fives might be going away. I have to come up with something new. But no, I mean, in the summer, you have your dedicated bowls. They'll bowl in the summer and find a center that'll stay open, or at least open a little early, and you can do your practicing and stuff. But you're right. Up here, when summer comes around, golf, fishing, and then when winter comes around, sometimes you even got those deer hunters that don't go out in October, November, or bowl in October, November, December, deer hunting. But bowling's always been strong here in Milwaukee. I mean, we've lost a lot of the little centers, but we still have some pretty good sized centers up here with, Bolero and stuff, and they're trying different things to make it a family rec center and do some interesting things on the lanes that way.
Okay, well, we're gonna get into your OC career a little bit here, and we'll make our way toward 2009 when you put your name into the record books. But again, you mentioned Wisconsin and Milwaukee and how big and important the Open Championships is, and you guys come into the event knowing the history and how prestigious it is to own an eagle. And your career started before Daniel Farish existed back in 1981 in Memphis. And what was it about the event? I'm sure there was some of those famous guys recruited you, and you knew what you were getting into at that moment.
I actually didn't really know all of it that much. I mean, I was a good local bowler, like in the Milwaukee area and stuff. We had Bowling with the Champs, which was a TV show up here on Channel 4 on Sunday mornings. And I said I started getting into some of the local tournaments, was doing very well. And then I got asked to go to the ABC at the time now, which is the USBC. And I went up with a couple of my buddies. One was a pro shop worker and stuff that way. And here I am with 2 balls, a silver white dot and a 3-dot AMF, my first time going to the USBCs in 83, 84. But I did okay. I was happy. I mean, for not knowing the shot and where to move to at that time, I bowled okay. I think I shot like a high 1500. And I said, it hooked me ever since then. And I know I missed a couple in between the years up a little tween because of work. I was away from work or something. I couldn't make a couple of years, but Milwaukee really prides itself, and I shouldn't say just Milwaukee, Wisconsin prides itself on this tournament because we have a lot of good bowlers here in Wisconsin, and they communicate real well. And I think that's why Wisconsin bowlers do so well at the championships is we know everybody and we communicate real well. Hey, what'd you guys find out? Did it break down second game, third game? Where are you guys all playing? Where did you start out? And you get a pretty good idea before you even get down there and you start practicing on certain things you do to break down the lane. So it helps everybody score. And the Wisconsin bowlers really communicate that well.
Well, I've got some good news for you here. Looking at your record, I know you're 60 years old now.
Yes.
And you mentioned things slowing down a little bit, but things were not slow at the start of your career. It was actually 1833 was your debut all events. Absolutely. And you were over 1800 in 8 of your first 10 years. So that's pretty solid
Not
back
bad
at that time, and a nice little start to the career. But what was it that brought you back to the event after making your debut?
Just the fun of competition. Just the draw of, you're out there against all the bowlers and some of the best bowlers around the United States. And it's nice. It's nice to see where you can stand up, not only for singles and all events, but I love team and doubles. I'm a guy that likes those team events. And I said, you don't find too many of those. And used to bowl in some of the world team challenges back in the day where they used to put out some nice shots out there where you had a hard time averaging 190. So it was fun. I mean, I just love the competition. I think that's what drives everybody to the USBC.
Okay. Now you guys
And the heritage.
you guys are a ton of fun, and you certainly have fun out there on the lanes. And you can never tell, if you guys are pulling great or struggling. It's just it's the experience and the camaraderie, and I think that's very important, as you mentioned.
You try. You go through and you practice everything you did, everything to get up to go to the USBC and bowl. If you're not loose and not making, just keeping your arm swing loose, you're not going to bowl really well. If you're trying to hit it a little hard, get a little early, or get out of the ball a little late. I hope everything comes under control, and you start making good shots at the tournament. And luckily, knock on wood, we did pretty well there. I said even with my team with the Horsemen, we were back in the day. We've always pulled pretty well at the USBC.
Okay, now Daniel's our numbers guy, and we're both looking at your record right now and kind of analyzing the first 23 years of your career or so before things went crazy in Las Vegas in 2009. Daniel, any thoughts? It was pretty steady for those first 2 decades, and some good numbers and a good average. But anything stand out to you?
Just the fact that in that first couple of decades, you were never under 1,700, but you were never over 1,900. So you found a way to stay pretty consistent from your first visit in Memphis all the way up through Albuquerque in 08. The year before the big year in Las Vegas. I guess the question I would have that would help help me and help any bowlers who are going to go to the OC is, how do you find a consistency like that when you're bowling on challenging patterns? The venue changes every year. There's life things are happening in each of our personal lives that can affect our bowling. How do you find a way to stay consistent like that when you've got 9 games to show up?
I guess one thing is, you got to practice. I said people can sit there and say, hey, league's enough and go. Even if you bowl in leagues 3 nights a week, you still got to practice on some different challenging shots out there. Either after you bowl, there's 2 shifts on a night. Maybe stay another extra half hour, 45 minutes, and bowl on that burned out condition a little bit more, so you can fine tune, making sure you're hitting your mark, you're projecting the ball to get to the area where you need to get to the score. Back in the day, of course, equipment wasn't the big thing back then. I think I shot a 299 with a silver white dot back in the day. I think it was like in the 80s or early 90s. I can't remember what it was. I said, I think it was actually late 80s. I was trying to get the monkey off my back. I had 13 299s in my career, and I finally had the front 11 at the USBC. And Bob Greenfield and a couple of guys from Milwaukee were back watching me. I go, hey, I'm going to get the monkey off my back. I go up there, get third arrow away, just like I wanted to, laced it right in the hole, left the solid 10 for 299. I just said, Bob, the monkey's back on my back again for a little while, But I mean, to get consistent, you have to practice. You have to have some dedicated guys out there. I was lucky enough when I was bowling junior leagues. I had a group of probably 12, 14, 15 of us were dedicated grinders. We just wanted to bowl and bowl. And I bowled at a place called AMF South Park. Well, it was actually South Park Lanes back at the time, but then it turned AMF and Red Park and all other kinds of things. And now it's an indoor soccer field. So it's just kind of weird. But back then, I sat there for me and my buddy Kurt Preston. His mom was the head junior coordinator for us, and she's the one that really got us going. And she was really nice to us. She goes, hey, I got to have all these ceiling tiles replaced. You guys want to do them? I said, sure. How much are we going to get paid? She goes, I'll pay you in bowling passes. So we put up probably about 1,000 tiles, right? He gave us 2,000 bowling passes free. I almost used them that summer.
Well, I did something similar at the bowling center where my family's pro shop was at when I was a kid. We had the YMCA and youth centers would come into the bowling center for their little bowling day. And the woman at the front desk, who was the manager at the time, she told me, if you'll chase Deadwood and get ball returns and whatnot, I'll give you free bowling and free food. So that's what I did when I wasn't hanging out in my dad's pro shop.
That's the way to practice. I said, that's really what got me started back then, is competition between us 12 or 15 guys. We were that was back in the Marshall Holman, Mark Roth, Les Sykes, kind of the Roth was just getting into it in the early, late 70s or early 70s. And I kind of went after like Mark. I was a grinder. I was the one who wanted to get up and hook the ball. Where I bowled with other guys were the strokers, for the guys that were just kind of good floaters down like Don Johnson and stuff. And it brought a good comparison for all of us to work together. And it's kind of worked weird how it worked all the way up through the bowling career. It stays that way. You know, you just have to put the time in to get better. And I said, if that's what you're going to do at the USBC, you want to get ready, get out there and make sure you practice. Talk to people that have been there before. If you have friends that went up there, it's a good way to learn where were you guys playing? What equipment were you using? What kind of weights did you have on the ball? And it's a good way to kind of lock yourself in and have better success at the USBC. That's kind of where we go from here in Milwaukee.
Now, getting back to your numbers, you know, you were really consistent up through 2003. 2004 was the first time you broke 1900, and after 2004, three of the next 5 years, you broke 1900, and then the big year in Las Vegas. So, what? I don't think there was one thing that changed between 03 and the years that followed, but did you just start to become more experienced, more comfortable in the arena? Did you learn some tricks with your physical game or your equipment? What changed to help you get to the 1900 range, and then that big 2009?
Well, to shoot 2300, you never expect that at the US.
Right.
I mean, it was BC anyway.
Right.
But I said, Lenny went up there, and Gus and all the guys from Lynn's bowled, and they were really good about letting us know how they broke down the lanes and went that way. And Lenny shot 2238 or 2240 that year. He was leading all events. I mean, great. And Chad Kloss happened to be bowling in a league I was in at that time. It was a singles league over in Menominee Falls. And Chad goes, Ron, I got a ball for you to try. I'll give it to you. I'll tell you where to drill it. I think it'll work for you at USBC because the oil was a little bit oilier that year. And he goes, I think this ball will work great for you. It was a solid, old kinetic from track. And they didn't even make it anymore at the time. They kind of discontinued it at that time. And I said, what do you want me to do with it? He goes, just leave it out of the box and just see what happens. So we got down there a little early. It's the first time we ever did this. We went to we had practice on the shot in Vegas at another center. They put out the same shot, and I forgot to coach Fred. Fred was the coach at the time there, Jasmine.
Mike Jasnow?
Mike Jasmine, Mike,
yes,
sorry.
Sir.
And I'm there with a brand new ball, and my other balls were like an AMF Nighthawk, which I fell in love with at the time back then. I loved the AMF Nighthawk. It was my ball I could always go to that I wouldn't have any trouble. But I brought out the kinetic, and I was throwing it, and out of the box, one time it would go a little long when I projected it. Next time I get a little short, take off a little early. And I wasn't feeling real good. And I threw it for like probably 10 games on the practice field. And he comes over and he goes, maybe you should go and take some of that surface off. Go to one of the booths and just tell them to take it down to 3,000 to take some of that, 1,000 or 500 finish that you had on the ball. I went, is that going to just make it float a little more? He goes, it should make it, instead of so angular, quick, and hook early, it should float it. I'll get you a couple feet down the lane more. And when I'm in, if I get it down the lane more. So I took it to the track booth, and I don't know who was there. And he looked at it and he goes, you're not thinking of throwing this ball, are you? I said, yeah, I'm thinking of throwing this ball. I just got drilled. Can you hit it with 3 times? He goes, it's falling. He was trying to sell me on one of the newer track balls. And I'm like, nah. My buddy told me this would work. Can you just hit it with 3,000 for me? And I'll be fine. So he hit it with 3,000. We bowled that night in team. And that's where I sat there and I went 249, 259, 269 to shoot 767. I think that tied for the high series for the whole tournament that year, the team event. And I went, God, I got off to a great start. I could stay out a little bit with it. It wasn't so hard angular. It let me push the ball down. I was playing probably anywhere from I started 15 to 8. And I probably went into like maybe 20 to hitting like 19 on lane out to like 8. And it came back. And I said, with the 269 on the finish, I ended up getting in every senior bracket then. That was the first time I could get in senior brackets. So I won 79 out of my 80 brackets on that the first time with it.
So you were that guy. You were that guy who was it was his first time in the senior brackets, and you're just going to shipwreck all of them.
Oh, it did. It was a bad one. I mean, I even ended up getting into 20 more regular events. The regular ones, I won all 20 of those. So kind of put a dent on it. And I said, God, I should have got in more brackets that year. And then we went, and I was trying to actually, our squad for singles and doubles was at 7 o'clock in the morning. On 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. And I went down after we bowled late at night, and I knew we were going to party a little bit because we won some money. I went, is there any chance can we bowl later? Is there any later squads? And no, Ron, everything's full. Everything's full. So the next thing you know, Ron's got to get up at 6 o'clock in the morning after getting home at 5. And we got down to the lanes, and I'm going, God, I just feel I got to get fired up. So I ended up, I was 30 clean in team event. I went 229 clean, 229 I think I had open, and 249 I had an open. I left a 4.9 and a 7.10 were my only two opens, 97. And bowling with me was our other partner. Our partner team was next to us, and none of the guys, which I was watching, they were trying to find out where they were playing before we had to move over on 3 and 4. All of them stayed up the track. Nobody got in. Where I normally get inside a little more. I was playing probably like 16, 17 out to 10 at that time. And I got over there, first ball I throw. I leave a 4-pin because I moved right a little bit because I thought they'd be a little more oilier. And then I went, okay, let's go back where I stand and stay slow. And who knows then, you shoot 30 strikes in a row. Where do you ever feel that you could ever throw 30 strikes in a row at a USBC? And I said, my wife happened to be there watching, and it was kind of cool because one of the guys that retired from Taxera moved to Vegas, happened to be there in the morning to come down and watch me. And I said, I throw the 30 in a row, and I left another 4-pin, and I'm just sitting there going, the thing that loosened me up after I shot the 30 in a row, you haven't shot any spare. So I'm freaking out trying to think, how am I going to throw out this 4-pin? My buddy John Brooks, that was on my team and on my pair, goes, hey, it's pretty sad. You can throw 30 strikes in a row and you don't get a standing ovation until you miss one. So it made me laugh. So I said, heck with it, I'm just firing it straight at it. So I moved right and just went straight at it, made the spare, threw a double. And then I left one a little high. A second one in a 10th, I threw the first strike. Second one, I just jerked on it a little bit. I didn't trust it. Went a little high, left the 3-6, and then made the spare for 57.
Well, we do have a video highlight here that we captured that day. Again, the first year of video at the Open Championships. So we have that forever and ever in the archives. But what a day. We'll talk details here in a minute after we take a look. But here it comes here in just 1 second.
Yep. That's where we're getting a little deeper. Yep. You don't get those days too often.
Oh, well, at the time, once in history. That's
the last shot. Spare stuck a little bit, almost kind of chopped it off, but thank God I didn't. And you dream of those things. I mean, you talk about competitions, want to bowl good, and boy, I couldn't have a better tournament a weekend than I could there. I mean, the 23-21 at the Open Championships, you can't even fathom that. I don't think anybody out there would ever think you can shoot 2,300, But that's the one I left after I had 30 in a row right there. And I knew I jerked on it instead of just letting it go through. That's where I was laughing when he told me, he said, pretty sad you get a standing ovation when you leave the court.
Well, but interestingly enough, I bowled in that league at Menominee Falls, the singles league. And I honestly, I didn't remember talking to you at any point during league play in my time there. And you certainly made your way under our radar with that team series 767. We call that the all events watch. So we take a look at everybody who bowls well in the team event, of course, with a number like that. You're going to be on the list the next day. And then doubles started off just as well. As you said, 697. So you maintain your place on that list. And now, we're doing the math right away. What does he need to get to the lead? At that point, it was nearly 760 one more time. So
Lenny was leading that.
Lenny was leading. Those guys actually had bowled the week before or 10 days before. And some great stories surrounding their participation as well. They took the lead in the team event. That's Lynn's Limited.
Yes.
Lenny Boris, Dereshevsky, Gus Janaris, Ryan Lever, Dale Traber. And they took the lead. 34-49 was the number. And they battled it out. That's one of my favorite stories at the Open Championships. Daniel, certainly a night to remember. The top two teams at that year's team event, Sacto, the Sacramento guys, friends with Jason Milligan, were bowling, and they were 10 lanes apart, battling for the lead. Remember now, this is the longest tournament in Open Championships history at 154 days, 17,200 teams, nearly a record as well. And the top two spots decided on the very same squad that night. Unbelievable excitement. Lynn's Limited got there. They went on the next night. They bowled on the late squad, probably 3 a.m. They're done bowling, taking the lead in team all events. Lenny takes the lead in all events as well. Shoots 300, shoots 2,200. Amazing. 10 days later, and Lenny drilled Ron's bowling balls at the time as well. So there's some information exchange, as mentioned earlier, and then Ron goes out there and beats his ball driller in all events. But getting on the radar, certainly 760 is a phenomenal expectation at the Open Championships. Started with 290 in singles. Then it got real. Then you start talking strategy on our side, on the PR side of it. How are we going to handle this? What are we going to do? And then the strikes started to pile on. 290 became 300. Of course, 300 is a whole series of procedures for us as well. And then the strikes continued into game 3. And at that point, singles definitely going to happen. All events definitely going to happen. And on that weekend, or is it April 24th and 5th, 2009, you posted your high sets in all 3 events and all events. So certainly a performance of a lifetime. And again, your high in your previous 20 plus visits was 1926. So you're 400 pins better already. Unbelievable. You had
scary, ain't that?
halfway through game 8, you'd already beaten your previous high all events total and still striking. What a day it was for us. We were going crazy trying to figure out what we're going to do to spread the news, and the strikes kept happening. You finished singles with 857, and at the time, it was tied for the second highest 3-game series at the Open Championships. And of course, the 23-21, the highest all events total. Previous high was 2279 by Stephen Hardy in 2002. So we didn't quite yet know what the final numbers were going to look like for Las Vegas. Of course, the leading scores were up there a little bit that year. But I think there was a lot of talk at that minute that it was over at that point. Singles and all events were a done deal. The word got out there fast. How did you feel walking off the lanes, looking at those numbers? And the first thing you actually did was go to the track booth and pick up a shirt because you knew you were getting your photo taken. You were going to be in a video.
The sad part is I was throwing a track ball, and I figured, hey, I'll be nice. I have my old green shirt on. I don't want to do that to have an interview with you. So I went down to the track booth where the guy gave me the hard time after I shot 767, and he didn't say too much after that. So I ran down there after I got done bowling. I said, hey, how about getting me a shirt and I'll wear it to the interview so you guys can get some, PR. And I goes, well, yeah, you can. He goes, it's $25.
Oh, man.
I'm going, are you kidding me? You're going to make me pay for this? And I'm doing this for a promo for you? And I just threw a kinetic ball, track ball. And he goes, hold on. Here, you can have this one for $10. I went, oh, thank you. So I paid him $10. But the one good thing that came out of that is I got signed by Track the year after. They called me up, and the president of Track called me up. He goes, Ron, he goes, awesome shooting. He goes, a member of our staff. And I went, oh, heck yeah. So I ended up joining the Track staff for probably about 4 years. And then I ended up getting an opportunity to bowl at Brunswick. And so I went over there to Brunswick side. And now who knows? Track is part of Brunswick now. So who knew that? But yeah, he made me pay $10 to get a shirt to wear.
I do got to ask, Ron. So in 2010, the next year at the Open Championships, I'm not skipping past 09, but I got a question real quick.
Yep.
So in 2010, you're with Track at this point, correct?
Yes.
So this photo that was taken the next year, is that the same shirt as 09?
Different shirt.
Different shirt. Okay.
See, if you look, it might be the same logo, but different shirt, different kind of scheme. It's a shinier shirt.
Oh, you're right. Okay. I was gonna say of all the shirts that would probably have been made available to you, if you'd have worn the same shirt for a photo op the next year, that would have been pretty.
Put this way, if
Well,
I wanted,
pretty lucky
if I wanted, I'd go get that shirt again and wear it again.
That's what I was saying. It was the same shirt.
But no, it wasn't. It's a different shirt. But I mean, it's different coming back after you're a champion, coming back to bowl. It's different. But what ended up happening to me too, I ended up tearing my bicep muscle in 2010. So I had to get that. Wait, no, it wasn't 10. Which one did I miss in there? I missed one right in that range. 2012.
2014 was the year off.
That's where I tore my bicep muscle. Where that was a blast coming back from. But it was pretty nice because I went to my doctor and what a great guy. Just I send anybody needs anything waist stuff, I'll tell him where to go. Go see Dr. Schneider here in Milwaukee. He ended up just taking care of my bicep where he had to pull it down, an endo button, kind of put it back together. I gave him 2 months because I said USBCs in 3. I said I gotta have at least 2 to 3 weeks to practice to get ready so I can get ready for USBC. And he goes, that ain't gonna happen. I said, well, if that doesn't happen, I'm not paying. Wow. And found out the girl that beat the heck out of me up in rehab. It was awesome. She had me back going in 2 months, and I was going in 2 months after that.
Wow.
Well, going back to 2009, pre bicep, I imagine you probably needed a heart doctor at that point with so many months of bowling left after the after the big day. You know, a lot of the guys will say, well, if I can do it, anybody can do it.
I said that. That's what I said. I said, everybody asked me when I got done bowling. Well, actually, it was after, let's say, a week after selling out. Well, what do you think? I said, if I can do it, Amy. I said, he goes, well, what do you mean? I said, I think my all events is good. I think that's going to be tough to beat. 3 games, 3 sets together like that, that's going to be tough to beat. I said, I think I'm okay there. I said, but my 857, I went, with the way the shot was, I thought somebody could still hit it. I said, I knew I left a few out there. And I'm like, I just, that's the one I was worried about. I think somebody would fire 857 or 858 beat me. No, but I knew if I was going to lose anyone, it would be that one. And then Bull goes up and shoots 299, 299, 264 for 862 or whatever it was.
You know, I've got to say that's the definition of a true bowler right there. You shoot 857, you're 43 pins away from absolute perfection in our sport, and you say, I think I left some out there.
I left some out there.
I love bowlers. I love us. I love all of us to death. That's great.
I sat there. Was it my highest series of my life? Yes. But I knew, I think I let the excitement get to me a little bit in the 10th frame, rather than settling down a little bit and taking a little more time to go through it where I left the 8 count. I throw another strike there, then I don't think anybody touched me, because if I shoot 870, I don't think anybody's going to touch 870.
Well, now at that point, leaving the lanes, I'm sure you guys celebrated a little bit, even knowing that there's still a few months left to wait. Social media in its infancy back then, what were those months like? I mean, that was April. The event ended nearly August. It was the longest.
It took a while. I mean, you're always watching. I mean, I always go on there and get on the website and kind of look to see what scores are being shot. And the thing that was unreal about mine, when you said, how fast does news travel? Gus Neris and the guys already knew at league that night when I got done bowling what I shot already. And it traveled fast, and they're going, shit, 2,300. And Gus couldn't believe it. He goes, it's got to be Ronnie. He goes, it has to be. He goes, unbelievable. He goes, you can think of you're going to bowl that good ever. It's a weekend that I'll never forget. It capped off my bowling career. I mean, I'll keep grinding and keep going for what I get, but you can't cap off a better bowling career with shooting something like that at a USBC.
Well, now tell us when you got the news about Bo Gergen shooting 862 in singles. Wow, I mean that's now the highest series in tournament history. But what was that phone call like, or how did you find out about the singles lead going down?
Actually, I think Gus was the one that called me. Gus goes, hey, Ronnie, I can't believe that somebody shot 862. I went, Who was it? Then when I heard it was Bo, I said, well, if I'm going to get beat by somebody, it better be somebody like Bo, because I've known Bo through tournaments for a while, and he's a great bowler. The guy's a class act, good guy. He has the right game for it, and it goes to show you can get locked in, and you can. It's shoot 857 or 850 and above at USBC is crazy. I mean, but then you shoot 860, that's even crazier. And I said, like when I shot mine, I had 230 clean game, 230 clean sets, and I only had the 2 open. I said he even had an open, and he beat me. That's unbelievable.
All right, now 3 months later, you got the call, the one
Yes.
that matters the most, that you had held on for the all events title. I spent a lot of time calling the Wisconsin area coach that day. Lynn's also held on to win team and team all events, and the Eagle presentation that came later. We'll talk about that, but talk about that phone call when it finally came in from tournament director Dwayne Hagan.
It's something you can't even fathom. I mean, it's the excitement, and finally that phone call should say clarifies that you're a champion, a USBC Eagle winner champion. Can't be any prouder than that. I said, I'll tell everybody till I die. I said, what's the proudest moment in bowling? I said, winning an Eagle. I said, that was my lifelong dream as a bowler back first when we started. I said, it even came from Wisconsin bowlers like Rick Wonders, who's here in the scene with me and lives and everything. Guy's a phenomenal bowler, and he had like 4 or 5, 6 Eagles up there. I said, Wisconsin bowlers just pride themselves on that. And once you get that call, you're an Eagle champion. They can't take that away from you.
Now you were on the verge of 50 there at the time, and
yes.
those guys as well. The Lynn's guys, their first team all events title came in 2000. They weren't youngsters either out there at
the old
this
guys.
event. How about that? I mean, of all the things, and for them to fight off the kids on that team event night.
Yes.
And then we'll call you guys experience, for the experienced players to come through in such a way.
It's true, though. It's true. I mean, you look at their team, and I laugh because back when I first got into men's league, and I've known Gary through junior leagues and up Jaroszewski, and we bowled at Gary was actually the lane man at Olympic Lanes. It was called on 27th Street here in Milwaukee. And we got to know my group of bowlers. We got to know Gary, and it was kind of cool. And people don't know too much about Gary. Gary's probably a better left-handed bowler than he is right-handed. It's scary to think about that, but he is. But my first year at a big men's league that we got in was at Blue Mound, the Metro was called. And I got asked to bowl, and we were trying to set a team up. And it was me, Bob Greenfield. I know you don't know Mark Dempsey, but they had this guy, Dale Traber, who I didn't know at the time was on the team. And then they're going, hey, we need a fifth bowler. I said, hey, I got a guy. How good is he? I said, trust me, he's good. I said, I'll bring this Gary Jaroszewski guy. I said, you guys won't even believe it. He's throwing a 14-pound carbo white dot, and he destroys the pins. So they go, okay, bring him. Well, first night, I think Gary out of block shooting 770. Back in 1970, like 80, I should say, 1980. He shoots 770. That was the first time out on the lane. So they go, hey, he's pretty good. You're right. I said, I told you.
Well, definitely a pleasure to know all of you guys, all those guys as well. Even better was getting the invitation to come out and present those Eagles at the Hall of Fame dinner there in the Milwaukee area. Certainly a true honor for me to get up there and tell the stories, to tell the story of the team event night. And then, talking to Lenny at 4:00 in the morning in the media office. I think he was going to get done, go take a shower, and then he had to go watch his son play in a baseball tournament. Sometimes the off the lane stuff makes the best stories, but to be able to stand on that stage and be there to hand out those Eagles was pretty special. I imagine a little more special for you getting to finally hold it for the first time. Is that when it clicked what you had accomplished, or was it maybe the next year?
Actually, when the call made it click, but getting that trophy in your hand, through that Eagle in your hand, that's the special time. That's when you know it's yours. You take it home. Put it up. I said, I have mine up here on the wall over here on the shelf with my other stuff. It's something I'll never forget. It's a feeling you'll never forget. And like you said, Matt, after you get done bowling, you want to go out and kind of take your time and kind of go have some fun. But that's when you start thinking about, oh, God, I just shot 2,300 USBC. And that's when you just start going, is this true? I mean, I got all the sheets. I made sure I had all the sheets with me. I said that it was pretty special.
Well, and now that experience is one that doesn't end there. Of course, being a champion at the Open Championships, you get to come back the next year. We have the championship banners hanging in the rafters, and then the watch presentation on the lanes, a special march out. And for the all events guy, that's got to be especially tough, knowing that in just a couple minutes, you get to turn around and put that title on the line. And that year turned out pretty good for you as well. Daniel, we'll talk about those numbers in a minute, but tell us about the experience of coming back, walking up the long escalator at the National Bowling Stadium, seeing that banner for the first time, and being introduced as a champion at the OC.
It's a very proud moment. I said, to go see the banner for the first time before you even get to go bowl, you can go out and you can see the banner that way, which is pretty cool. And I said, to have your banner up, your name up with guys like Gary and Gus, Ryan, and all the other guys around the world. I mean, the guy that tortured me and killed me the next year, Matt McNeil, like I said, I got to meet Matt, and it's the first time I said, just remember, Matt, you can have that, but I'm still the highest right-handed bowler in history. And he just started laughing. I go, hey, I just want to shake your hand. I said, congratulations. He goes, Ron. He goes, I heard about you. He goes, you're a class act. He goes, I heard you like that a little funny. He goes, when I get done here, come on, we'll go have a drink over there. So him and I got to talk a little bit, and I said, the guy is a dedicated class act bowler. I mean, the guy's a great guy.
You guys bowled 2 days apart in 2010. He broke your all events record by 5 pins, 1 day to the year of your record. Bo Gergen also had beaten your score by 5 pins, so that's maybe five's. I don't know, if it's an unlucky number for you.
It's those pins I left out there. See?
Oh yeah, there you go.
There you go. But if I was an OC bowler, I would absolutely be trying to sign up for April 25th or 24th and 5th.
Seems like it's a good day, eh? Good weekend.
How bizarre is that, though, that it happened on the exact same day, and nobody's even been close since?
And I look at, I mean, I know for a righty, when we attack lanes, we have more righties and we can break down the lane a little more to make it, how I feel, maybe a little bit easier for us to kind of open up a shot. But when you see a guy, a lefty out there kind of by himself, or one other guy, they can't really make or break down a lane to help them out. They have to actually keep repeating and repeating great shots and carry, and I said, that's the other thing at USBC. You can hit the hole all day long and shoot 590, 30, but then you can sit there and get a little lucky and pop a 780, 770 if you're kind of getting lucky. And I said, it just depends on the breaks and how you're throwing the ball.
Right now, looking again at the records and coming back, always tough to be the defending champ. Didn't bowl too bad that year, 614 in the team event, which I can imagine some serious nerves and butterflies at that point. But things got much better the next day for doubles and singles. And Daniel, any thoughts? 1960 was the all events number there, and that's right up there in the top of the career.
Yeah, that was your third highest up to at that point. It was your second highest. Now it's your third highest total. But what I want to ask about is, how did you feel when you left Reno in 2010? Because you were 361 pins behind the previous year. Granted, the previous year was a record. So when you left 2010, were you disappointed that you didn't come close to your numbers from the year before, or was it just a great experience to come back as a defending champion, to go through all the pomp and circumstance of it prior to starting the bowling, being recognized as a defending champion and enjoying all that comes with being that?
And I guess the bowling wise, it was me. I mean, the timing was a little off. That was me. If your timing's a little off, it's going to penalize you. When you're bowling at the championships, if you're not on your game and you're not clean through the shot, clean out of the shot, you're going to get penalized. It was nice coming as the champion. I really like that, because, like you said, you got to see your banner. You come in, and I don't think there's any additional pressure. Did I expect to shoot 23:30? No. I said, would I love to shot 23:30? Oh yeah. But I mean, you have to match up. And I guess when you come down here, it's like anything else. You got to match up the equipment for the shot you're on, and you got to make sure you're throwing the ball. And if you don't match up right, you can bowl as good as you can, but you're still not. So it wasn't nerves. It wasn't anything that way. Am I proud every time I walk back into the USBC Open Championships? I'm very proud. I know I'm a part of the history there now. I said, the one thing I prided myself on, even before I even won, is I said, I'm going to grind and keep my average above 200 no matter what it's going to take. I'm going to stay my career average above 200 because that was my goal. Whenever I went into the USBC Champions, I said, I wanted to make sure my average was above 200 because you're a good bowler. If you're averaging above 200 in all those USBC championships, you kind of know what you're doing.
Well, certainly shooting 2,300 or 2,200, 2,300 will help keep that career average above 200.
Yes.
I want to ask about 2012 when one of your teammates had made a run at some history at the OC, but I don't want to skip over 2011. We went back to Reno. And you gave a lot of pins back that year as far as that 200 average is concerned. What happened in 2011 when you shot 1690?
What happened with me there, the perfect requiem of not having the right equipment at the right time. I used every ball in my bag. Granted, I only bought four. I bought four, no spare ball, but 4 balls with me. But I just completely read them the wrong way. I mean, how we went to try to break down the lanes a little bit, it was the wrong way. I think we could have did a better job of doing that. Throwing 1600 when you miss spares and you don't make spares, score goes down very quick. And I said that's a key at USBC. You can throw all the strikes you want, but if you stay clean and you make your spares, you usually can stay around that 190, 200 average. And that's one thing, probably the worst one I've ever had where I was all over on my spare sheet. Plus with the split.
Well, you've answered the questions about 2011, so we'll get away from that bad year. We'll jump to 2012 when your teammate Henry Teets III was making a run at 800 and the regular singles title. What was it like being on the other side of that and watching one of your teammates, one of your close friends, make a run at doing something that you had done years prior?
I think, I'll be honest, I was more nervous then than I was for myself. I think it's easier if you're controlling the ball yourself and you're throwing it. But you're hoping for your friend, your teammate, your compadre, hoping he can enjoy some of the same success that you have, especially one of the biggest amateur tournaments that ever has been out there. And to see him succeed, he's one of the quietest, nicest guys in the world. He really is. And we call him Dead-Eye Teats. There's a reason for that. Once he gets locked in and he can find something on dirt, there's nobody going to beat him. If he finds a shot that he can grind a little bit, he won't miss. Like I said, he was one of our World Team Challenge Dead-Eyes. One year we bowled, I forgot where it was in Illinois, and it was only like my 5th World Team Challenge that I bowled with Henry and stuff that way. And we got in brackets and stuff like we did. And Pete Weber was down there with his team and stuff. Well, Henry shoots 730 or 740 just on a shot that was absolutely terrible. I shot 640 and I would smile in ear to ear just to get out there. Well, Pete shot 720 and Henry knocked him out of like about 30 or 40 brackets. Pete was like, who's this Teats guy? I said, oh, it's my buddy over here. He goes, where was he playing? 6th Arrow? I go, no, straight up 10. Straight up 10. He goes, how can he play straight up 10? I said, well, when you throw 19 miles an hour, put a ton of forward roll on you to find out how you can play straight up. But to see Henry go through and win that, it was so nice. And we actually drove down there.
From Wisconsin. Oh, wow.
From Wisconsin. So that was a haul for us to drive like 16 hours, 17 hours. So it was a great ride back, though. You would have thought it'd be a grind, but it was a great ride back. Because I told Henry, I said,
see, after a performance like that, the car ride's going to be pretty enjoyable.
It was. Like I said, and then it was for Henry. Henry had to experience what I did. Now you sit and wait, watching everybody go through. Henry, relax. You're only 800 in the tournament. I said, the lanes aren't easy, brother. I said, you're in pretty good shape. He goes, no, you said that too about yourself. And look what happened to you, 857 guys. Don't do that. But,
well, Any of us that watch sports, we've certainly watched baseball. We've watched pitchers take a no-hitter or a perfect game into the 7th, 8th, and 9th. And in some instances, they will shelter themselves away from their teammates, or their teammates will just completely leave them alone at the end of the bench in the dugout. When Henry was making his run, he finished with 800 on the nose, 232, 279, 289.
Yep.
Was there any talk between Henry and yourself? Were you giving him any advice, or was he kind of keeping to himself,
Yes,
doing his thing?
No, we always pump each other up. If a guy gets on a roll, if he wants to talk, we'll talk. And if he doesn't want to talk, we're there to support him. Just say, keep firing, Henry, stay loose, And he finished that off great. I said, shoot 800 right on the head, and the scores he shot on that tournament in singles was phenomenal. I said, not too many bowlers won. You can't. He won the tournament. It tells you right there how tough it was. And to see him get an eagle, it's awesome. I'd like to be like Gus's team. I'd love to see everybody on the team get one. I said that's the way to do it.
Now, you guys have had some pretty close calls as a group as well. So the camaraderie is there, the chemistry there. The Five Horsemen has been the famous name for you. What does it take, you think, to get to that level, to get where you need to be?
Well, you need some luck. You got to stick it out. You got to grind with the guys you bowl with. You know what I mean? Yeah, everybody always likes to insert somebody and, hey, insert this guy. He's the right guy. I was never one to believe that, and neither are guys that the Five Horsemen. Hey, we go out and fight with each other. Well, we had not too many teams. We had 2 lefties and 3 righties, and my 2 lefties couldn't be any different. One plays up the rail, John Bodish, and Mike Chalmers can play 4th arrow. So I said it didn't make sense. So I had a good group of guys. We had a run for a while. I said some injuries and stuff to like John and stuff where he can't bowl anymore. And I said, right now, we're starting to thinking about getting back together for the old group. We're going to think about trying to get back to 4 of us getting back together, but we'll have to see if that happens in a couple of years. But we're going to keep coming down. I'm bowling with a bunch of Southsiders like Eddie Varadian, who is part ownership with Gary and stuff. Very good young bowler. I said, going down there now and getting up in years, going to grind a little bit. We're going to have some more fun too.
Now, to come off all that success and fun that you guys had, you had another great year in 2013, shot over 2,000. How hard was it for you to miss the 2014 event, to see all those guys off to the airport and not be able to be there?
Ready for this? I did it a week before we left. When I tore my bicep. It stunk. 1 week before I left, I actually went down and tried to bowl. Because I said, all right, I could swing. I was okay this way. I could play basketball. It didn't hurt bad there. But until I went down, and you never know a bicep injury, until you get down and you swing the ball, it's okay. But once that thumb comes out to lift with the fingers, there was nothing. I could just tell it was all go. There's nothing there anymore. After I did that one shot, I went, I'll see you guys later. I packed up and went right to the emergent care clinic. He couldn't tell me what happened, but then he goes, go see an orthopedic surgeon. And I went to go see Dr. Schneider, and I laughed how he diagnosed me. He had me sit there, and he had me hold my hands out like this. And he rolled up my sleeve on my shirt, and he held my hands out like this. And he pushed down on my 2 hands, and he goes, how's Tuesday, son? I go, for what? Surgery. What happened was, when you get here and you see your biceps right here, that rolled up back about 2 inches, 3 inches back.
Yikes.
So he goes, we'll have to kind of pull it down and repair it and get it back. He goes, Ron, you're 50-some years old and you're still active. He goes, I would repair it. He goes, if you don't want to, you can leave it go, but you're going to lose like 20% of your strength in that arm. I went, bull. And that's kind of what I told him. I said, you have 2 months to get me back up and rolling. But other than that, I said, we've been pretty blessed. I said, the guys we bowl with, and especially all the bowlers from Wisconsin that come and see you guys, Matt and Dan, I said, it's awesome. I said, we love seeing you guys. I said, we appreciate your 2 hard work at Open Championships. You guys do a great job for just publicizing and getting out there and talking to the bowlers. And that's what's needed out there. I said, I think there should be more of that. Even in regular leagues, I think that should be done more between a lot of the associations. They need to get in touch with the bowlers and talk to them a little more. think we might get more participation in some ideas that way.
Well, we certainly appreciate it. And we always know when you're at the counter. It's always fun to come out and say hello and even sneak away. Anytime the Scotties are in town and you can get out and just kick back for a minute, tell stories. There's so many. You guys are such a close-knit group, just from everything from, the local league stuff to city and state. And it's a pretty big deal. Now you're part of that history. We certainly were going to talk a little bit about what's happened in the year since, but I think maybe the bicep injury might explain some of the scores.
Some of the scores that's still me. That's, I'll agree with you, Matt. I mean, some of the scores are me, but some of those were not putting the time in. You got to get back on practice. I said I was one where work kind of took over a little bit, and I didn't get out and practice enough. If you don't get out and throw the games, you get out and practice, you're not going to perform well at the championship. That's just what it takes.
Well, now you have a little more time to practice for 2020. September 12th is the tentative start date. Have you guys figured out when you're going to be there, when you're going to join us? And
second or third week in October, we're looking at.
All right. What's is there a different strategy planned? Are you guys doing anything right now to stay
right? Well, right now the sad part is nobody can throw anywhere. even though I know the owners, I said, hey, just open the center for me. I'll bowl we'll bowl like two pairs away from each other. But I said it'll be interesting this year because nobody's able to bowl. Well, they're opening a couple bowling alleys down south, but how they're opening it up, I'm not seeing too many bowlers coming back. I said look forward to it.
Looking back at 2010, that also was your 25th year. So now you're getting on. This will be 34 coming up.
Yep.
But how special was it to receive that recognition? And now, again, a lot of guys have the 50 number as a milestone potentially, but to add on the years and obviously some great memories and reasons for you to come back. But what does it mean to be part of the participation history like that?
Well, that's what I think is part of the heritage too. I said I am amazed, and the guys that have knocked down 100,000 pins, those are the guys. Those are guys that have put the time and the dedication in. I said, if I can, I'm going to try to get there. We'll see.
All right. Now, speaking of those guys and some of the history, again, it was Lenny Boris that you beat out for that all events title. You guys still friends? Is he still mad a little bit?
No,
is he still drilling your equipment?
Well, he doesn't drill the equipment. He used to backdated years ago, but the day when I shot that I actually had that drilled up from somebody else. But Lenny, I called him up when I got back, and I kind of went, Lenny, hey, I'm sorry. He goes, sorry. He goes, it'd be different if you beat me by 1 or 2. He goes, you beat me by 100. How can you be sorry? Lenny's a class act. I said, you can't take it from Lenny. I said, I was glad to see him win. I know he wants the all events title or just to get something a little different on him. I know he's going to do it. He can sit there and say he's getting up there in age too, but he's still a young buck to me. So you can't find a Lenny. I said, Lenny,
those 2 wins were Eagles 2 and 3 for Lenny. He's now a USBC Hall of Famer. Speaking of which, we have another one in our chat here. Gussie Norris checking in. Always the jokester. He said, hey, Ron, did you break that perfect record and finally buy a round after you shot your score?
hey, you can ask Gus. He knows better than that. Even when I go bad, I buy a round. Now talk to that Greek guy and see if you'll pry some money out of his wallet. Gus is like me. I said, we're the 2 fireballs. If we get together, I said, no matter what happens, we're going to grind it all the way to the end, and you're going to hear it. We'll push our teammates to make our teammates better. And that's what bowling's about. It's camaraderie, competition. I said, I love the competition. That's what drives me. I said, get out there with the best bowlers out there. You put your talent against what's out there, All
right. Well, before we get any final thoughts here as we approach the hour, I'm just curious. Those championship banners that we talked about, they're actually far bigger than anybody knows. 20 feet in length, I believe.
Yes.
Where do those end up for you and Henry?
Well, right now, mine's at Gary's place, Eddie's at Classic Langdale Creek. They got mine. And Henry's, I'm not sure. He might have his at Classic Lanes Menominee Falls because that's Gary's place also too. So I know Gary's got my shirt for winning the USBC for the Clash of the Champions. Gary's got my shirt like you do, Matt, back there. He's got one over in a frame at his place also.
Very cool. Always nice to see that memorabilia and those things go on. And of course, the banners, a very special part of our history as well. Before we get going, Daniel Farish, any final thoughts, any final questions for our 2009 regular all events champion?
Yeah, looking at your record here, you've mentioned earlier that you wanted to keep that 200 average. You're at 203.2. So for 2020 and the years beyond, how do you keep it above 200?
Gonna have to get out and practice again. Now that you're getting older, I'm telling you right now, it's going to be probably not as strong as equipment. Just getting older, can't hold that speed up like you used to be able to. But there's some good equipment out there that's calm. You can sit there and still score. And I said, you get out there with the right guys and the right team. I said, especially with the guys I go with, we're all competitors. We push each other to get better. So that's what it's about.
All right. Well, certainly we appreciate your time today and everybody for tuning in. We've got, again, the 2020 Open Championships coming up. September 12th is our start date at the National Bowling Stadium in Reno, followed by the 2021 event back in Las Vegas, one of Ron Vokes' favorite places, I'm sure. And some memories and history there. That'll be number 35 coming up in Las Vegas. So that's the place to celebrate.
April 25th and 26th. I got to make sure we get that date.
That's right. That's right. Get that April 25th on the calendar. Ron, any final thoughts for the folks at home before we say goodbye?
Nah, just want to say thanks to you guys for letting me come on. I said, bowlers out there, don't let this stop you guys. Get back out, support your bowling centers when this stuff gets settled down. Get out there and support them. Help them any way you can, and just have fun. That's what bowling's all about. Biff, bowling is fun. So got to get out there and grind it and go have a little fun. Looking forward to getting back in the bowling center.
Absolutely. And again, we appreciate all you do outside of bowling for keeping everybody safe as well. Make sure to say hello to all of our friends up there in Wisconsin. We'll be up there to visit soon. It's always a good time. For everybody else, thank you so much for tuning in to today's episode.
So you see who's bothering me?
The OC. There you go. Is that your new doubles partner?
Yeah, actually, he'd probably do better than me right now.
There you go. Well, welcome to the show. That's fantastic. That is real life for 2020 right there.
And you guys, want to say thanks again. You guys are our class act too. When I get down there, I said in Reno, I'll come look you guys up and we'll have them.
We'll be there.
All right. Sounds like a plan.
It.
Thanks, guys.
And folks, we'll be back Tuesdays and Thursdays with Inside the OC coming up on Thursday. It is USBC Hall of Famer John Witz. Looking forward to that as well. The guy who had the higher series at the tournament at the time, 858 was the number. We'll talk to him about all of his success in his years. The rest of the week, remember to check out the PWBA podcast as well on Mondays and Wednesdays, and the Sport of Bowling show on Friday afternoons, all here on Bowl TV. If you have any questions, you know where to find us on social media. Drop those questions in the chat here. If you have any questions for Ron Vokes, we'll make sure to get those answered as well. But I think that is going to do it for today's episode of Inside the OC. My name is Matt Cannizzaro for Daniel Farish and Ron Vokes. Folks, that's the news for now. See you on the links.